Hi guys, I'm back and I'm going to share another story with you called Some Birthday. This one was written by Patricia Polacco. She's an incredible artist and she does all the illustrations for all of her books. So this is written and illustrated by Patricia Polacco. This is called Some Birthday and we're going to synthesize this as we read and encounter new information. We're going to see how our thinking changes as we read through the story. Okay, because that's what synthesis is all about. How our thinking changes and grows as we read. My mom and dad were divorced. My brother Rich and I lived with my mother, except that we spent every summer with dad and grandma, my dad's mother. Cousin Billy lived nearby. Dad was a traveling salesman. It was my job to get him up and to make sure his socks matched. He was colorblind, you see. Before he went to work, Dad and I would have breakfast together. We'd talk about everything in the world, and he could always make me laugh. But today he wasn't saying anything, and it was my birthday. Anything special happening today, Daddy? I asked, hoping it would help him remember. Nope, honey. Today's about the same as any other day, I'd say. Just as I was going to drop a big hint about the pedal pushers and blouse I wanted for my birthday, he was out the door, into his car, and off to work. See you tonight, honey, he called out. So at this point in the story, I'm thinking a couple of different things. I'm thinking that Patricia is probably feeling, or Trisha, that they call her in the book, she's probably feeling really sad because she thinks that her dad has forgotten her birthday. He doesn't seem to remember it at all. So right now I'm thinking that he really has forgotten about her birthday. So this is her brother, Richie, and then this is her dad's mom, her grandma, she calls her. And there goes her dad off to work. And I think cousin Billy's over here too, hanging out. That night when Dad came home, I looked for my birthday present. He read the paper like he always did. Then he started watching TV like he always did. So I'm thinking that Trisha's probably feeling pretty sad. He forgot her birthday. There hasn't been a mention about it. Suddenly, my dad sat up in his easy chair, and he got that look in his eye that usually meant he was up to something. I think tonight might be the perfect night to do it, he said. Do what? My brother and cousin Billy asked. I think we should head down to the clay pit. But Dad, I said, everybody knows the clay pit is haunted. I'm with you, Dad, my brother said. Me too, added Billy. Not only had my birthday been forgotten, but now we had to go to one of the scariest places on earth. And at night. Tonight, we're going to get the very first photograph ever taken of the monster at the clay pit bottoms. Even though I was scared, I began to feel a little bit excited. So in their town, there is this clay pit, and for any of you who have ever worked with clay before, you know that like water doesn't really like to go through it. So there's a big area that's made out of clay in their town, and it's filled with water. It's almost like a little pond, and everybody in their town says that it's haunted, and there's a monster that lives there. So right now I'm feeling really bad for Trisha because first, everybody forgot about her birthday and they want to go to this really scary adventure to try to see if they can get a picture of the monster that lives there. So I'm wondering, does a monster really live there? Are monsters real? Okay, Richie boy, you get the bait, my dad told my brother as he read from a list he'd made. Some smelly cheese will do. I'll get some from the fridge, said Grandma. You get my camera, Billy, said Dad. Okay, Uncle Bill, my cousin called. Patricia, you go get the flashlights. Got 'em, I called as I held up 2 Everlast midnight specials. Hot dogs, buns, marshmallows, my dad read. I'll put them in a basket for you and the children, William, said Grandma. If we each carry a blanket, we'll be all set, said Dad. We put on galoshes, rain gear, and woolen caps in case it got cold. These are galoshes. They're like rain boots. So they're getting all packed. They're taking a camera and flashlights and cheese as bait. You know how if you're going fishing, you take bait with you and you like worms and you put them on the hooks to lure the fish in? So they're taking some smelly cheese to hope they can lure the monster in. We marched down the street toward the bottomland at the edge of town. We're almost there, my dad called out in kind of a scary voice. Oh, maybe I should reread that. He was probably like, we're almost there, in a kind of scary, creepy voice. So they're headed down to that clay pit. As we came up to the edge of the water, it looked black, cold, and very deep. I think I saw something, Billy whispered. We all gasped and stood stock still as we watched the water for a sign of the monster's approach. Come on, kids, my dad ordered. We have to set up camp. We threw our blankets over a low-hanging branch and put rocks on the corners to make a tent. Then we all collected wood for our campfire. Now I really think that they forgot about our birthday. It's late. Nobody said a word about it. They're trying to find this monster. The fire looked warm and friendly. Let's eat, Dad said, as he threaded hot dogs onto sticks. We need our strength later. What do you think the monster looks like? I asked my father. He dabbed the mustard from the corners of his mouth. Well, he began, I've heard it's the ugliest, meanest, slimiest thing anyone ever saw. People say that if you look it in the eye, your hair turns white and you're never the same again. We all just looked at each other, too scared to speak. I know that it loves things that smell bad. That's why you kids should never squawk about taking baths. We all looked at the water for a long time. Do you think that if we get its picture, it will get in the papers, Uncle Bill? My cousin asked after a while. Sure, it'll make the state journal, and we'll all be heroes, my dad promised. Now, I think that this is just about the right time for us to begin. Begin what? I said, still scared. Dad didn't answer. It ought to come for this, all right, Dad said as he put the smelly cheese on the edge of the pit. My, but are you brave kids, he said. Sure can't think of anyone that I'd rather risk my hide with than you. So they're putting out the cheese, that stinky cheese, hoping that the monster will come. It'll lure it in. It's like the bait. Just then, something rippled the surface of the water. See that? My brother whispered. Something really big is out there, I squealed. My dad's face became very serious. Maybe he was even a little scared himself. What if it comes after us? My cousin Bill cried. If it looks like it's going to come after us, then run with all of your might for home. Don't look back. Just keep running, my father told us. Then there was a rustling in the bulrushes. The frogs stopped croaking. I see it, my brother yelled. I wasn't sure, but I thought I could see something big gliding along the water straight at us. Dad took the camera and walked into the darkness to investigate. Soon we heard snarling and growling. We started screaming and hollering at each other. Then we heard a loud kerplash. I flashed the light at the sound and saw something big coming out of the water. It stood on two hind legs, and it came right at us. It smelled awful. Then there was a terrible howl. "It's the monster! Let's get out of here!" my brother shouted as he ran for home. "The monster!" we all screamed as we ran up our front porch. So now I'm kind of thinking maybe there is a monster and it's going to chase them. They're running towards their house. Breathlessly, because they were running so hard and so fast that they can't catch their breath, we told my grandma what had happened. "Well," she said, "I think your monster is coming through the front door right now." There was my dad, soaked to the skin and smelling real bad, covered with bulrushes. "You should have seen it, Ma," my dad told Grandma between belly laughs. "Our monster turned out to be a floating log. Then Beach's Harley Beach's bloodhounds found the cheese and got into a fight. So a neighbor of theirs has some hounds, some dogs, and they found the cheese and they were fighting over the cheese. So remember the snarling and stuff they heard? It was really just the dogs fighting over that cheese. I tried to separate them, slipped, and fell into the water. Then my old man laughed so hard he cried." "Some way to celebrate a certain little girl's birthday," said Grandma as she brought my birthday cake, a whipped cream cake with a rubber monster and candles on top. My thinking's totally changed. I'm sure that they remembered her birthday. In fact, I'm thinking now that they even had this whole thing planned, because how would her grandma have known to put a monster on top of her birthday cake? Then everybody yelled, "Happy birthday!" "You remembered," I said as I opened my dad's present. Just what I wanted. The pedal pushers and blouse didn't match. But who could complain? This had been some birthday. "Daddy, is there really a monster?" I asked. "Of course there is," my dad said between mouthfuls of whipped cream cake. "Maybe next year," he said with a wink, "we'll get the picture." Then everyone sang happy birthday to me. My dad sang the loudest and off key, of course. That's my dad. So my thinking changed big time during some birthday. At the beginning, I truly thought that her dad forgot her birthday and her grandma and her brother. And then at the end of the story, my thinking has totally changed. And I think that they had just been planning something special this whole time. And they had to get her out of the house maybe so that grandma could make the cake and get things ready. And her dad had obviously already bought the pedal pushers, which are like little kind of like capri pants for her, and a blouse, which is another word for a top, that she really wanted for her birthday. So he didn't forget her birthday. He had remembered all along, but it sure felt like they had forgotten about it. So as we read, our thinking has changed because we encountered new information as we went along. So I hope that you enjoyed some birthday and that your thinking probably changed with mine as we read through this together and read new information. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.